And what's up? It is Thrash Life episode 13, February 25th.
We're here with you, ya boys.
Yo boys.
Both of them.
Up in Orion Studios, Baltimore, Maryland. Today we have a guest interview. Dave Benzotti of Benzotti Live Radio will be joining later to talk about what it's like being a internet DJ for over 1,000 episodes.
Oh, I thought you were going to say 1,000 years for a minute. Damn.
I don't think it's 1,000 years.
Okay, well, that's impressive, though. 1,000 episodes.
1,000 episodes is huge. So,
I'm impressed by that.
Yeah. Today is National Chocolate Covered Nut Day.
Take that how you want it.
Yeah. National Clam Chowder Day.
Take that how you want it.
Real Bread Week. I typed this in wrong.
Yeah, I was wondering what that meant. Read bread.
Yeah, it's Real Bread Week.
Okay.
It's as opposed to the fake breads out
like
there.
Make your own bread.
I don't know. I don't know what people consider real bread.
I don't know where to get my hands on real bread, apparently.
I think white bread is real bread. That's what I eat. It's real. It's tangible. It's
real sugar.
Today is also the Fair Trade Fortnight, or I guess that's a fortnight of fair trade coffee beans and chocolate or whatever. What is
that? Is that related to the video game?
Maybe.
Okay.
Leave a comment if you play Fortnite and you know. Is it a skin? Who knows?
Yeah.
National Engineers Week also. So if you're engineering stuff.
Pretty lost without you, I guess.
Yeah. Well, bridges falling down and stuff.
Oh, wait. They are.
Well, I mean, that's out of their control.
Yeah.
They're supposed to, get the engineers to work doing these things.
Yes.
Quick rest in peace to funk pioneer Betty Davis, who passed away at 77 years of age due to cancer. Couldn't come up with a joke for this one. So.
Yeah.
But she is pretty legit. You should check out her music.
Yeah, I listened to a song earlier. It was good. The vocals are like so raw. It's like almost unclean vocals.
Yeah.
Like way ahead of its time.
Yeah. She said raw. She likes it R-A-W,
Yeah.
raw.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully she'll get picked up.
Picked up?
That's one of her songs.
Oh, okay.
If I'm lucky, I'll get picked up or something like that.
All right. Well, interpret that how you will.
Yeah.
Speaking of,
interpret. That's how she means it.
Speaking of musicians, not pioneers,
Attempted pioneership here.
Attempted pioneership. Kanye West, big fan of the podcast. He pops in here every now and then. He's revealed that the only way to listen to his new album will be on his new stem player. Have you seen this thing?
I don't even know what a stem player is. I thought you made another misspelling for like a stream player or something.
I thought this was like Real Player back in the day.
Okay,
to download a program.
Yeah.
But no, this thing looks like one of those Bluetooth speakers, like one of those little oyster shell.
This is a hardware you have to buy.
This is a hardware unit of a Bluetooth speaker.
Oh, wow.
With exclusive walled garden content farm.
Yeah.
And the only way that you're going to be able to get this new album, Donda 2, is going to be exclusively through this platform. He shared this over Instagram on February 18th when he played a song on the stem, and he was like, oh man, today's artists get just 12% of the money the industry makes. It's time not for free music. It's time to free music from this oppressive system. It's time to take control and build our own, he wrote. And then he had a link for the stem player. So
that's why starting next week, you can only find this podcast through the Medusa Head stem player.
Yeah, we have a new device we're debuting. Kyle just spilled the beans on it.
We are actually ahead of Kanye West on this.
It's actually going to be a Bluetooth player from Five Below, but we're going to, cut off all the ability to listen to anything else other than application data through this.
We definitely won't be listening to you.
Yeah. So in response to this, Apple pulled a $2 million sponsorship from Kanye West because they were supposed to stream the 2/22/22 date listening party event for Donda Tool, but he just like didn't even tell him and was
$2
like,
million is nothing to either party in this situation.
yeah, probably. It's just kind of funny that he just drops
funny.
a sponsorship through an Instagram post.
Yeah, especially because the event is pretty damn close, and he just comes out and he's like, nah, I got my own hardware now.
Yeah. We talked before about Tidal not being like very heroic interlopers in this whole situation of streaming music, and Kanye West is in no way.
Yeah, please no.
Like, geez, he's not I feel like he's not qualified to do anything that
I think
albums.
actually what he's trying to set up is a system where you have to buy a hardware device from every band in order to listen to their music, or every artist, I should say. And so that's like what I think his vision for the future is so that all music goes through the artist directly. Which, who wants to have like 250 Bluetooth speakers sitting around? That's like worse than CDs. Why you got to break out your CD booklet of stem players?
Yeah, well, when I first heard about it, that it was a physical device, I was reminded of hit clips. Back in the day, in the toy aisle, had these little microchips that would go into a miniature player that's like as big as a headphone jack, essentially, and you'd get to listen to 60
like
seconds.
Tamagotchi with half a song on
yeah,
it.
it was great. Like, I thought, oh, we're going this way again. We're going to have some physical media.
Yeah.
But no physical media, just physical
one piece of physical
device.
media you have to buy, and then I guess you can get all of his music in the future. Should this thing not fall flat on its face?
Yeah, if you want to license your music through the STEM system, I guess you'll have to hit up Ye. I believe that's what he's called now. Just Ye.
I thought it was Yay.
Is it Ye?
I don't know. I think so. Kanye.
I thought he was like Ye, like Yeezy.
Oh, yeah. I don't know.
Well,
let us know.
Get back to us when you have a umlaut or something on that E to let us know how that's supposed to sound.
Yeah.
And more friends of the podcast, the Foo Fighters, Dave Grohl.
Absolute best friends of the podcast. It seems he finally took our advice. We've been telling him to get into thrash music.
Yeah.
Every time he stops by. That's all we talk about. Dave, come on, man.
Yeah, we rep Dave Grohl so much on this podcast that he went out and he made a fucking thrash song.
A perfect masterpiece of a thrash song.
Did you like it?
In my opinion, I loved it. Yeah.
I don't know. I thought it was a bit canned, like a little bit too, nothing but net, swish, just right down the middle.
Oh yeah.
In that way, it kind of felt a little uninspired, but it also did feel like it was aiming directly for something.
He was going for the old school sound before all this extra spice had been thrown onto the thrash genre. So
yeah.
I think I was picking up some major Exodus vibes from it.
Yeah, definitely. So his new movie, Studio 666, comes out today, the 25th of February.
In theaters or?
In theaters, I believe. And
I want to stream it, but I ain't going to the theater.
Well, there's always piracy if you don't tell David Draymond about it.
Yeah.
This movie has a fictional band called Dream Widow. Now, I saw this frequently misspelled as Dream Window, so you'll just have to see the movie to know which one.
Don't care for either name.
Apparently, this was the band that cursed the house prior or something in the script.
Oh, okay.
The lead singer killed all of his bandmates and whatnot. But they had a whole album in that movie, and then Dave Grohl decided to make a whole album for this movie to represent that, kind of like Tenacious D and the Pick of Destiny.
That's what we told him to do.
Yeah, definitely.
When he was here.
Yeah. So that song that he put out was called March of the Insane.
Yeah.
It was a lyric video.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
join the chorus of pain.
yeah.
March with the insane.
And then apparently there's a full-blown album coming out, which also has a 13-minute metal epic comprising of like 4 or 5 parts that are all like strung together. So
he took our advice there too. We were like, Dave, 13 minutes, bro.
Yeah.
Break that sucker up.
Yeah. But, we were also like, it's got to be like Pick of Destiny. You got to have the epic song in there. It's got to have a super long song.
Yeah.
He said, it has a lot of influences like the band Trouble, the band Corrosion of Conformity, and Kias. Corrosion of Conformity is sweet, man. They got some
Yeah.
real some drunk anthems
Yeah, it's a
like
pretty,
Albatross.
I don't know if I should say underrated because they're pretty well known, but they have always kind of just like flown a little under the radar.
Yeah, they don't get the respect they deserve, man.
Yeah.
They got a wide range
They're
of
fun.
sound too.
Yeah, fun band to listen
Definitely fun. Kias, yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure Dave
to. If you
Grohl.
got like couch lock from some really good indica, Kiss is pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. Kias is you know, the proto band of what would become Queens of the Stone Age and all
Yeah.
that. So, and Trouble's pretty sweet too. Don't get into trouble, but you know,
No.
stay safe.
Yeah.
You know, speaking of getting into trouble,
Yeah. Don't go to space.
don't go to space. Beavis and Butthead coming back
Yep.
with a new movie and TV series, as well as all the old TV shows coming back. Us two in these chairs, we are Beavis and Butthead right now, so clearly this is a relevant news topic that needs to be covered.
Am excited for it. Yes. I'll get into it more in our next topic, but
Yeah.
this is this is awesome. This is a good sign.
So, what they build it as in perhaps the dumbest space movie ever made, Beavis and Butthead are sentenced to space camp by a creative judge in 1998. Their obsession with a docking simulator.
I hope Mike Judge is the judge. So it'll be Judge.
Oh yeah. It leads them on a trip to the space shuttle with predictably disastrous results. And after going through a black hole, they reemerge in our time where they look for love, misuse iPhones, and are hunted by the deep state. Spoiler, they don't score. And it'll be called Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe.
Love it.
Seems good.
I loved Do America.
Do America was really
I saw that in the theaters. So maybe for like tradition's sake, I should see this one in the theaters. But
Yeah. Now they say new episodes are coming along with 200 remastered MTV episodes. I'm not sure if that includes the short like reboot that they did in like 2011.
yeah.
And this will all be on Paramount Plus, I believe.
Oh, nice.
Which is I don't have that.
I mean,
but guess
for
maybe
me,
I'll see.
like those on Saturday nights, sometimes when they would do a thing called a Marathon and play Beavis and Butthead from like midnight until like 7 a.m. And as a kid, like having to stay up till midnight, but then also stay up all night watching this show, just like cracking up. Like me and my sister always watched it, like Beavis and Butthead and the Sega Genesis thing where Sega Channel.
Yeah.
Those are like the core memories of my
Oh
childhood.
man, yeah.
So I
Beavis and
can't
Butthead,
wait
the
for all
game
this. Yeah.
on the Genesis and on the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was I had a Beavis and Butthead poster in my
Yeah.
wall in my
Stayed
bedroom.
up all night one night with Zeb and beat Beavis and Butthead on Sega Genesis.
Ooh. Nice.
Yeah. So, yeah, I love Beavis and Butthead. And if you don't, you probably haven't watched it.
Maybe. I guess I will be pirating this, and again, not telling David Draymond about it because piracy doesn't exist anymore thanks to the major labels.
Yeah.
Now, lastly, before we get into our discussion with Mr. Benzotti, we talked about the Super Bowl.
Yep.
I had the Cats. You
Yep.
had the Rams.
Gotcha.
You were the winner.
Yep. Ram it all day, ram it all night.
And the Super Bowl halftime show, as well as the commercials, were interesting. The commercials, I tried to watch a
I
lot
remember
of
having
them.
like a few chuckles and just being like, all right, that was cool. But like, it's not like I'm not a Super Bowl commercial guy where like I remember them and that's like the talking point of the Super Bowl for me.
Well, they had those frogs,
But
right?
I
The
thought
Budweiser frogs.
That was a good, yeah.
Like way back in the day. The Budweiser
Did
commercial.
they bring them back?
No.
No.
Do you remember the Budweiser
Yeah, oh yeah, I
commercial?
remember them. Yeah,
it was like
there
a horse. The horse was like,
Oh.
I'm gonna die or something. And the guy was like, cool, I better have a Budweiser. And they drink some beer in the night. And then in the morning, the horse gets up and he's like, yeah, I'm better now. And it's
okay.
Budweiser had nothing to do with this fucking horse. What are you doing?
All right, either way, I thought it was going to be like a sad Budweiser commercial where like, you wake
was.
up in the morning and the
Either
horse
way.
is dead.
Yeah. I mean,
I missed that one.
It's fucking weird.
I generally don't stand around and watch TV. I'm always like moving around, so I didn't even catch like every minute of the game, but I caught every minute of the halftime show. That's for sure.
Yeah, the halftime show was amazing.
Yes.
So we had Mary J. Blige, Eminem, surprise appearance by 50 Cent.
Dude, I lost it when 50 dropped out of there. I thought it seemed like a very Kendrick Lamar thing to drop out of the ceiling.
Yeah, yeah.
So I thought that's who it was going to be.
Right.
And then when I saw 50, I was like, 50!
It was it was pretty cool. You had Kendrick on there, obviously.
Yeah.
So it started out with that giant console coming out of the truck or whatever.
Yeah.
But like at the time, in the beginning of it, because the camera angle, I thought it was like just CG. And I was like, this is really weird,
okay.
because it was all so white.
Yeah.
And then it like comes out of the thing and it's like, oh shit, there actually is. I'm not sure if the console is actually functional, but one of the things that like really got me about it was like there's a couple drum kits up there and numerous other live band members, and you can hear that at some point they're actually putting those live instruments into the mix and using pre-recorded bits.
The drums especially, I could like just kind of hear that the drums were at least in the mix. I feel like they never cut like the whole overdub thing, but they did allow the actual musicians to play, which I thought was awesome.
Yeah, they usually don't let you do live stuff. They want you to do a completely pre-recorded thing.
Yeah.
And the way this like was all blended together so seamlessly, and it sounded like they were live. It didn't sound like a recorded version.
Okay.
So
which I wanted to touch on that too, because we got to give props to Adam Blackstone, the guy playing the chromed out 5-string Jackson bass.
Oh yeah.
Also the musical director of the entire event.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, a lot of that was him. That dude is amazing.
Right on.
He's like the musical director for a lot of people right now. I think Nicki Minaj and Justin Timberlake. Like, so he's essentially like, if you close your eyes, everything you're hearing has his fingerprints all over it.
Interesting. Yeah.
Just like there's another person that's responsible for everything you see if you put the TV on mute.
Yeah.
Like he's the audio coordinator of the whole thing. Music director, I think, is the title they give him. But he's playing fucking Jackson too, and like fucking sweet. Do you see it was chromed out?
Yeah. Dr. Dre was sitting at the console, but I could kind of tell he had his own stuff to do. The other people were doing the stuff for him. He wasn't pushing, the faders weren't actually active on that.
Yeah, the one thing I did notice, he got up from the piano about like 2 notes too early. But I still believe that what he was playing was in the mix, because it sounded different when he got up and stopped playing. So
yeah. I could definitely hear, and like I kind of wonder because like some of this stuff, it almost seems like they might be inclined to like leave certain artists to hang out and dry, and have them have a worse or better performance, or I mean, who knows? But Mary J. Blige was very, very raw on that, like very.
I loved that about it though. She was like, I mean, even the way she was dancing was raw as shit.
Yeah.
That was.
I could tell right away. The heels were like a bit much, and she's like trying to navigate because they're all on these trucks, and they also have a bunch of convertibles pulled out on the lawn and a bunch of dancers and stuff. And she's like in front of all these dancers. All the dancers are doing stuff, and the wardrobe is like not cooperating with the dance.
I mean, to be honest, I've never she's always been on the periphery of stuff that I listen to, but I've never like listened to her stuff.
Yeah,
but I'm pretty sure what I heard the other day they said was a new song from her, and I dig it. It had like, I mean, I don't know why, but I like that whole like gospel sound in my fucking R&B. And I feel like it had that, but she won me over extra there too. Like I've never like disliked her, but I was just like, dang, I got to go back and start listening to some albums, I think.
Yeah, she really at a certain point, it was like this is a performance, it's a normal performance. And then at a certain point, she really cranked it out. She knew she was there, and you could tell she just like turned the knob and really like hit
energy,
hit the good like vocal breakup and got the like really good tones out of there. It was pretty sweet.
Yeah.
We had 50 Cent dropping out of the ceiling. Everybody said he looked fat, right?
Yeah.
I had
I actually would trade bodies with him in a second.
I didn't think he looked fat in the slightest. He looked jacked as shit. He looked very like big, like
maybe
very like a lot of
he looked
mass.
like a jacked dude who maybe got a little bit softer, but didn't really get like smaller.
I didn't even see like a belly. I didn't see any fat. Like I saw like huge dude.
I mean, I guess he's not flexing while he's hanging upside down.
No, he looks a little round. Like maybe because
he's older though. I mean, that's your face rounds out when you get older, whether we like it or not.
Could be that steroid use. Maybe
I don't know
because people do that to get that
I thought
big,
he looked fine. Thought he looked great.
Yeah, he does look.
I was excited that he was part of it.
Yeah, it was cool. It was cool. Then you had Kendrick Lamar. This is the first thing I noticed.
That's where I was disappointed a little bit. I wish he would have done a song that was a little bit more of like one of his hits, but it was still visually the best part of the show.
Yeah, huge synchronized dance performance. All the dancers had Dre Day. And then like this is where I really noticed where like a lot of his lyrics are censored. He has a lot of profanity in his stuff for the Super Bowl, but he does have, in particular, a line about how he has no love for the po-po.
Same with Dre.
Meaning the police.
He said the still not loving police part, too.
Yeah, so
they
Kendrick
supposedly asked him not to say it.
Supposedly the NFL asked them all to not do this. Yeah. And Kendrick decided to self-censor on that stage. Now, the whole Dre Day sash and everything made me think maybe he knew and he was okay with himself censoring so that they could get to the end where Dre could be the one to make the statement because it is Dre Day.
Yeah, because I don't think any of these people are afraid of the NFL's fines.
No,
so.
I think...
Because Eminem took the knee and actually, like, let me get into it more. I think the NFL told him not to do that or didn't tell him not to do that and publicized that they did. Like, I think they wanted him to do all that.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. So, so as you said, Eminem did, Eminem comes out on stage, and let me just say, Eminem looks like such a weird, like, baby man with his dyed hair. Like, why like I said, the moment he came out, he needs like one of those fucking hats with the propeller on the top, because like he just looks like such like a 14-year-old still. It's really weird. I guess maybe it's the TV makeup for the HD or whatever.
It's crazy how long he's been around. I mean, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame nominee and everything.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think he might get in this year based off of this performance. It was extremely good. Now he was the most evident, I think, in his lip syncing to his stuff. Yeah, it was kind of.
I noticed it a little bit with 50, and I couldn't tell if the music was messing up on him or if that was actually him. But like there was something a little weird in there. But
and then at the end of what he's doing, he takes so Marshall Mathers, Eminem takes a knee.
Slim Shady.
And they're transitioning, this is all a melody, so they're just transitioning to another person. And if nobody had told me that this dude took a knee, I would not have noticed. Like, it's just, he's not the focal point at the point at which he does so. It gets easily traded off to Dre, who starts playing the piano.
Right.
And I just think it's funny. It's one of those things where it's like, yeah, clearly it wasn't about if you're mad about the taking the knee thing, clearly it wasn't about the Star Spangled Banner.
No, I think that's a good point. That's funny. But I think that the halftime show was designed as a bit of a middle finger to all the people that were like, I'm not watching anymore. They took a knee. I'm out. I'm done with this.
Yeah.
And so him taking a knee is like just a cherry on top. It's not like they already knew what they were getting into by doing this. And like that's one thing I've noticed is a lot of people bringing up like a similar point in like memes and stuff. I just want to make sure like I don't think this is on the lines of like race or anything like that. I just think that this is why it was so powerful for a lot of us is that the NFL is a really smart business organization. Like they don't fail, and they've caught on to they always catch on to things early. And I think they've caught on to the fact that, like, COVID keeping fans out of the stands for a whole year was like a giant reset button. And it called the bluff of all those people that were like, I'm not doing NFL anymore. I'm out. I'm out.
Yeah.
And so, like, they were like, all right, we'll shift gears then. And they went after a different demographic now. And I think that's what the NFL's doing. And because they're so early on things, I see it as a giant, like, beacon of hope that we are leaving the boomer years and entering a time when the economy is controlled by catering to people my age, which makes me feel real good. And I think that's why a lot of people, like, it's just almost like being, like, seen. It's like, oh my God, they did this for me. They never do anything for me.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And so, like, I think it started, like, movies for a long time have stopped catering to boomers. And that's why everything's like superhero movie and stuff like that now, catering to our generation. And so, like, it's just another step in, like, our time is coming. And I don't mean any hate towards boomers. It's just that a lot of them are retiring or, like, COVID, like, unfortunately, people have died. Like, they're not driving the economy anymore. And so I see this as a big first step in our turn to actually be the ones whose dollar counts.
Yeah. Interestingly, speaking of dollars counting, none of these people got paid.
They never do.
But they pay for everything, all the setup and all the staging and the costumes and all the other stuff.
Super Bowl's always been pay to play. It's like a paid in exposure thing.
Yeah.
And in this instance, this is one rare time I think both parties made out like bandits.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a great show. I went and looked up some past halftime shows to kind of compare and see where we're at. Because, like I said, in the past, they didn't necessarily get to do live blends. It was always kind of pre-recorded music and stuff like that. So Prince famously performing in the rain was
with that
you couldn't have
silhouette sheet and that guitar that looked like a weird dinosaur alien
that
penis.
Guitar looks so sweet, man. I love it. But the Michael Jackson one is one that I thought was really interesting because, like, that kind of showed that, like, even Michael Jackson wanted to do the free, pay for played for publicity or exposure. And
that's what I'm saying. The NFL is, like, really, really good at business. Like, they got all these people to do a pay for play.
And that MJ show, God, it's so wild. Like, that was like that heal the world period where you had like the save the children and all that chanty stuff. So it's all pre-recorded. He comes out. It's all, I mean, first of all, I just love the old Michael Jackson thing where he like pops out of like the floor and he just stands there and he like
all these noises and shit.
Or you're like, he like does some like Terminator looking like moves and then he just like freezes like content creator Nardwar, if you ever seen that guy.
Yeah, he's pretty good at holding a freeze.
He'll just like freeze for like 10 minutes and people just fucking go wild. It's just amazing. But that show, it's all pre-recorded. It's very short medley of songs, and then he does the heal the world and whatnot. Apparently he had actually managed to get the NFL to donate $100,000 to the We Are the World charity for children or whatever. He didn't see any money from it, but he had actually got somewhat of a pay out of it. But Mary J. Blige confirmed that she was not paid for this. Which
I believe also the whole thing is set up by Pepsi too, so take it up with them.
Yeah, I mean,
they're the ones I think who pay for it. So then, like, all these artists, it's like, if you'll show up and do the gig for free, you can get the exposure. It's like they're not paid, but they didn't pay for it probably either.
Yeah, I mean, it's great PR for sure.
Yeah. Absolutely. Plus, I mean, they should be paid, but I'm just glad that they were willing to do it without it.
Yeah,
for all of us that thoroughly enjoyed it.
They made an agreement between themselves that worked out for them, and it also worked out for us. Yeah. So,
I mean,
there we go.
At this point, I see people clamoring for this tour, and I would pay $200 for this tour probably. See a full set from all these people?
Yeah, that would be cool. One of the funny things I saw was that apparently they wouldn't let Snoop Dogg wear a blue bandana in his back pocket like the Crip gang. So he wore the whole blue bandana outfit. But then somebody said he looked like the rug from Aladdin.
Yeah, I thought he looked more like he was just repping the Rams really hard with that blue and yellow.
I mean,
I didn't
cool.
even think Crips. I just thought, like, damn, he's behind the Rams tonight.
He looked pretty cool. I liked his outfit, but he always looks pretty cool. So
yeah,
that's what happens when you get a bunch of money and get to wear like loungewear.
I mean,
everywhere.
I'm okay with them telling him not to do the bandana thing, just because there's like bars that won't let you do that. So,
yeah, I guess.
Whatever.
We'll see. So, last but not least, we're going to go ahead into this interview with our guest. And I hope you enjoy the conversation that's about to take place.
I like how you said earlier, I like the Mr. Benzotti. It sounds like we got somebody like ultra important coming in today.
All our guests are important, but he's pretty important as well.
Yeah.
So let's check
He's regular important like the rest of them.
Yeah. All right, to start, could you introduce yourself and tell us your pronouns?
Yes. Dave Benzotti, he and him.
Awesome. And you are the main DJ guy behind Benzotti Live Metal Radio.
I would be the only. Yeah, Benzotti Live Metal Radio is me.
Right on.
Yeah.
So are you only radio, or were you a musician at some point, or are you just more of a appreciator of, everything that people do?
Yes. All of the above.
Okay.
Many, many moons ago, I was a singer. I was the crossover thrash singer in the mid to late 80s.
Okay.
So back in the day, early beginnings, DRI, COC, VSD. That's what I was in. I was in one of the alphabet soups. You probably recognize the other ones.
Okay.
You've probably never heard of VSD.
Well, welcome to Thrash Life.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the obscure. And then in the early 90s, I was singing for a band out of the Baltimore area called Speaking in Tongues.
Awesome.
And then, geez whiz. I actually drummed for what we dubbed the heaviest band in the world, DDT.
Oh.
In, when the hell was that? 1985, something like that. I'm thankful you're not familiar with that, because it was it was in the running of the heaviest band in the world, but we're stretching the definition of the word heavy, and we're stretching the definition of the word band.
Okay.
Yeah. Very, very experimental. Talk about kids learning instruments. I can't carry a tune with a guitar, in a bucket. I can't play a lick of guitar. I can sing. I am a great fan of metal music.
Awesome.
And heavy music in general. And music in general.
Right.
But, I like hard rock, heavy metal.
Me too.
Yeah. That's where it's at.
So, earliest musical influence, before, you got involved with doing the metal things yourself.
Right.
What slapped you in the face and let you know that music was a thing? That like suddenly, wow.
Yes. I'm an only child, but I was blessed with two older next door neighbors. Mm-hmm. They're like 7 and 9 years older than I am. So they were like into AC/DC, Black Sabbath, Judas Priest, Kiss. So in like 1974, I got introduced to Kiss. So I was like 4 years old. And it just kept going. They would play me music. Their own little brother didn't really like hard rock. So they kind of adopted me as like their experiment. And it stuck. It definitely stuck. That's when I realized it. My very first album that I ever bought was Kiss the Originals. It was a three gatefold LP.
Okay.
So it's the first 3 Kiss albums that they released. After the first 3 Kiss albums came out, they released this thing.
This was before Alive?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe.
So, jamming with other musicians.
Yeah.
You became a musician at some point, presumably because you liked the stuff. And what was that like to make the leap from fan to band? Was it more of a party time, guys hanging out in the garage sort of thing? Or is it like, I want to do this as a career?
Well, yeah, I wanted to desperately. I grew up in a little town called Joppatown, Maryland.
Okay.
Which oddly enough, and I think I'm telling you the truth when I say this, I think it has more musicians per capita than Los Angeles. Because everybody that I grew up with was some sort of musician.
Right.
And there weren't that many people. I mean, at the time, there were several thousand people. That's counting moms, dads, grandmas, everybody lived in Joppatown. But and I'm exaggerating slightly when I say all of, but many of the kids got into music. Like almost all my friends played guitar. I made a very lame attempt and realized it was not for me.
Right.
So I ended up singing by default because I didn't have any musical ability, musical aptitude. But I did have a voice. And I had a voice for heavy metal. Not a Rob Halford voice for heavy metal or Jeff Tate voice, but a voice for metal. And the leap, I think I formed my first band in like 82, 83, something like that. So I was like 12, 13 years old. And I wasn't thinking at the time that, this is going to be it. But at the time, the idea was to make a really heavy band, and then from there, it began as a band called Red Viking. And then we evolved Red Viking into a band called DDT, which I mentioned earlier. And it was the same three guys. We just switched instruments. So I sang for Red Viking and then switched to drums for DDT. And then some of the real musicians from Joppatown attempted to play with us. And it was short-lived because, they finally realized, you guys can't play very well.
Right.
Yeah. We did one live show, which oddly enough was with Death Thrash from New Jersey. I booked the show, so that's how we ended up with it. But then in high school, we formed a band called VSD. And like I said, it was one of the Alphabet Soup bands, and that was really cool. I mean, I really started to get the feel for it. Like you would say, describe the feeling from switching from fan to performer. It was immediate and like intoxicating.
Right.
I liken it to like hitting a home run in Little League. That feeling when you hit a really solid, or kicking a goal or just something. Man, I've never surfed, but I'm imagining like catching a wave, like that.
Getting in that state of mind.
Yeah. It was awesome. I mean, we played in VSD. We played some really cool stuff. Here in Baltimore, there was a place called The Loft, Utah Street Clubhouse, whatever. Went through many names. Utah and Mulberry Street. That's where it was. Now I don't even think it's a parking lot now. I think there's a building there now. But at the time, it was this rinky-dink little hole in the wall. But everybody that was anybody played at the Loft. And it was awesome. I mean, Agnostic Front, Dirty Rotten Imbeciles, COC, Slayer, Nuclear Assault, just you name it, they played there. And our very first show of VSD was opening for Whiplash on the Power and Pain tour. So those of you that are fans of thrash metal, hold Whiplash in like super high regard. Like I think that's one of the most great thrash records ever, And to be, I think I was 15 years old at the time. So on my father's birthday, the year I turned 15, I think. We opened for Whiplash and Anvil Bitch from Philadelphia, and it was awesome. We got up there and we were nervous as hell, just high school kids. I think I was in like 10th or 11th grade. I think I was in 10th grade. And the first three songs was the first one was like crickets, it's like, man, this is a little scary,
Yeah.
And then the second one, it got a little bit, maybe 3. But after the third song, like the crowd was really into it. And then it was just like, oh man, this is it. Yeah. Dude, this is it. And at the very end, like the guys from Whiplash are in the front row, like headbanging and Thrash. And nice. Tony, the drummer, hands me a beer. I'm like, dude, I'm in 10th grade. This is awesome. Thanks, man. Tony. No, they were all named Tony, but But yeah, there was that. And then later, I think it was the next year, I started the book shows as a youngster. I think I was 16, and I booked Hallows Eve, another somewhat famous thrash band, in a church basement in Bel Air, Maryland.
Nice.
Yeah, man, it's awesome, and I don't know how much time that we have to tell stories, but
as much time as you want.
Well, I've got a story for that, right? So this. I booked this show. I booked this Death Thrash show, Death Thrash from New Jersey, because at the time I was pen pals with like all actual pen and paper stamps, all that good stuff. And I was pen pals with a whole bunch of different bands and whatnot. Like I was pen pals at one point with Agnostic Front and Watchtower from Austin, Texas, Cryptic Slaughter from I think they were in Santa Monica at the time. But anyway, word started getting around among fellow pen pallers or whatever that there was this kid in Maryland that would book shows. So I was contacted by Hallows Eve's management, and I was like, yeah, well, I can do a show, sure. So I signed a contract and all, and I paid him $100 and a 6-pack of beer.
Nice.
And I booked him in a place called the Bel Air Teen Center. It was in a church basement right on Main Street in Bel Air, which is like the most, maybe not the most bizarre, but a pretty damn bizarre spot to think of a thrash show. And that was also with Anvil Bitch. I brought Anvil Bitch because we had played with them. We'd opened for them down at the Loft, and then it was like maybe 6 months later. So I contacted them and said, hey, you want to come down to, it's not really Baltimore, but you want to come back to Maryland and play with us? And they were like, yeah, man, we had a blast playing with you last time. So they said, who's it with? I told them, Hallows Eve. They're like, yeah, count me in. So my bass player at the time spray paints a sign, and he puts it out front. And of course, he puts Anvil Bitch on the sign. Well, the church has a conniption because we're we're advertising. What the hell's an Anvil Bitch? And Hallows Eve, the combination thereof. So it was a really a cool time in my life, and then we got to play all kinds of things. VSD over for D. Croyson one time at Dillsburg Fire Hall up in Dillsburg, Pennsylvania, and that was just like a trip, man. We had to go through all these like little bunny trails to get there. But all right, so now I better tell it now in case I forget. Flash forward to like 30 some odd years later. I'm up in Frederick, Maryland at Maryland Doom Fest. Benzotti Live's a sponsor of Maryland Doom Fest. There's another sponsor there, Black Doomba Records. I'm talking to the fellow sponsors, and we're chit-chatting, and the Black Doomba guy says, yeah, well, my band this, my band that. And I'm like, well, which one, what band are you in? He goes, well, which one? I'm in a couple, several. And I said, well, I don't know, tell him all of them. So he starts talking, and then he says, Hallows Eve. And then this light goes off in my head. I'm like, wait just a minute. And I know the guy's name, and I'm like, well, your name's Tommy. You're not Tommy Stewart, are you? He's like, yeah, that's me. And I'm like, man, have I got a story for you.
Yeah.
So I asked him, I said, well, do you remember about 32 years ago, playing at a church basement with some young kids that set this show up in Bel Air, Maryland? And he's got this like killer photographic memory for rock and roll.
Yeah.
So he's like, yeah, I remember. I'm like, I'm that kid. Like, that's me. So he's like, wow, really? And we start talking, and then we start like doing, connection, like 6 degrees of separation or whatever, and it's just like, wow, okay, this, that, and everything connects. So it's like small world. And at the time, like, well, Tommy lives in Georgia now. So you got this guy that owns a record company and is in a Tommy Stewart's Dire Wolf. That's the band he's currently in. Owns Black Doomba Records. He's a fellow sponsor of Maryland Doom Fest. So we're in Frederick, Maryland, talking about a show that happened in Bel Air, Maryland, like 33 years prior.
Yeah.
And it's just like, we just picked up like there was no tomorrow. Yeah. And like, it was really like super bizarre because he's like, yeah, I met my wife that night.
Wow.
And I'm like, what?
It sounds like a timeless whirlwind of events.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, like, what? Yeah, I met my wife that, not the wife it was the wife that I'm with now. And I'm like, dude. He goes, wait till I get back to the hotel and tell her this. I'm like, okay. Yeah, this is cool.
So how about the radio part? Did you ever have an interest in radio or doing like broadcast when you were younger that led you into eventually doing Benzotti Live?
Yes. I actually have a bachelor science degree in communications.
Okay.
And the degree's done me well throughout my life as far as like getting jobs, because some jobs, it helps to have a degree. Doesn't matter what it's in, horticulture, cool, you got a degree. Aerospace, yep, that's all right, whatever.
Right.
So mine was in communication. So I learned a lot there. Didn't really do anything communication related other than, everybody communicates every day.
Right.
So it did help me there. But no, I always wanted to do radio, and I've had like friends throughout time say, man, you should have your own show. You should have your own show. Like Dee Snider years ago started, House of Hair and all kinds of stuff like that. It's like, man, you should have a show. I'm like, well, hey, I totally agree. I don't know how to go about this. And then, the internet happened and it started to become a possibility. And then a buddy of mine, a comedian from this area, goes by the title Thunder Walrus. Tim Yarsh is his name, but he and I started really talking, and he was like, really, I'm going to do this. I'm going to start this radio show. I'm going to start this radio show. And I was like, man, Tim, that sounds awesome. Like, I encourage you completely. Do it. And he did. This is like 2011, 2012. We're really talking heavy in 2012. Well, Thunder Walrus starts his show, and he starts it on Strip Club Choppers Radio. And Strip Club Choppers, they're nationally syndicated, not the radio, but Strip Club Choppers are like nationally syndicated, like motorcycle stuff,
Okay.
And you can like get in and get a franchise in various states or whatever. So they decide to branch into communications and do a radio thing. So Tim ties up with them, and then he's after me. He's like, man, look, I need you to come and do like a weekly segment. Just do a weekly segment. I'm like, okay. And I don't know what my issue was, but it took me a long time to actually do it. Okay. And then I got into a little bit of trouble with the state, and we had some issues, me and the state. And then when my issues resolved themselves and I became steadily available, I came over to Tim's. My wife and I, Mitchie, went over to Tim's studio at his house, which thankfully was not far from my house. It was like 5 miles away. We went over there the day before Halloween, 2013, and shot a pilot, if you will, of Benzotti Live.
Okay.
And I was addicted. And I was like, dude, I love this. Like, I'm loving this. Like, the feeling was very similar to being on stage.
Right.
Very similar.
Yeah.
And, there was interaction. There was live chat with the audience. Not like voice chat, but like type chat.
Yeah.
And, Tim's handling the board. Like, he actually had a board and stuff. And he's a kind of like leading me a little bit, but I'm just like basically running with it and just loving it. And so we set Benzotti Live up on my laptop that night, and then the very next night I did it at my house, and then the next night, and the next night, and then I came back to him. I think it was a Wednesday. I came back to his studio the following Wednesday to like report back and see how it was. And at that point, man, it was just like I was doing the thing 6 nights a week, every week. So we were just racking up numbers. It was just racking them, and I'm loving it, absolutely loving it. 2 weeks into Benzotti Live, you're gonna love this one. 2 weeks into the thing, I go to this concert. Now it was created by A.J. Perry from Twisted Sister. Unfortunately, for some weird reason, he didn't make it down from New York for this event, but he was definitely involved in it. But these other dudes were involved in it too, and I went there, and it was like a 2-day or 3-day. Hell, it might even been 3-day. Anyway, several day event, and I went, and I think it was the Saturday evening. In one night, I interviewed the singer for Exodus, the singer for Raven, and the singer for Metal Church.
Nice.
Now, they weren't acting in those, capacity. Well, the singer for Raven was. The singer for Exodus at the time was singing for Generation Kill, which is another awesome thrash band. And Ronnie Monroe for Metal Church was there playing solo as Ronnie Monroe.
Okay.
He had the Ghost of War band from Maryland backing him up, and they performed his set. But still, nonetheless, my original statement's true. I'm like, are you serious? Like, this is what rock and roll radio is?
Yeah.
Like Exodus, Raven, and Metal Church in one night. Like, what? And I'm not in some festival in England, Like I'm in White Marsh, Maryland.
Yeah.
At a bar that I go to and drink beer. So this is really, really cool. So yeah, that's how Benzotti Live got its hatch.
And you crossed over 1,000 episodes recently, right?
Recently, yes. Rush Day, December 21st. Yeah, okay. 2112. So 21/12/21.
Did you maintain that 6-day schedule?
I did for the first, I don't know how many hundred. Easily the first 300.
Okay.
So we were on Strip Club Choppers Radio at the time for those first 300. And then that folded, and I went to record an episode, and poof, they were all gone. They were gone. Like it was one of those kind of like a pay to play. I mean, you can't just do stuff for nothing, And apparently it wasn't renewed. So yeah. So at that point, it might have even, I can't recall. It might even been like the 300th. It was right around that time.
Right.
So at that point, then I decided, well, I was going to sink or swim. I wasn't going to tie up with somebody else. I mean, super thankful to Thunderwaller, super thankful to Strip Club Choppers. But it was like, all right, I'm going to do Benzotti Live, and, it's going to be me. So if I fail, I fail. I'm not riding it, And if they steal my episode, well, not really steal, but if I don't, keep paying for the storage or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, for the first bunch of 100 episodes, I was keeping 5-6 days a week, and then eventually what happened was my work schedule changed. And it's that was my work schedule first enabled me. I was working day shift, so it was perfect.
Yeah.
It was just awesome, Yeah.
Let's talk about goals for a little bit.
Okay.
You got into all of this, and I guess this could apply to the music aspect back in the day, or even the radio aspect now. Have you had a huge, maybe unrealistic musical goal or radio goal for yourself?
No, I don't think I've had a huge or unrealistic. I haven't really said anything. Like, I had my sights set on 1,000 episodes. First, I had my sights set on the 500 episodes, and I hit that one. And imagine that, I got a story for that one too. So I hit that one, and then I guess my goals in my head were, I'm going to hit 1,000. I want to hit 1,000, but I kept hitting milestones of 600, 700, 800, 900.
Right.
And I started, once I hit 500, I started to, I don't want to say get impressed, but sort of like, okay, you're for real now. You're doing it, because it's kind of like, all right, well, if you do an episode once a month, you'll never hit 500. Like, that's impossible. Nobody lives that long. If you do an episode, once a week, all right, in 10 years, you can hit 500.
Yeah.
It can happen, but you got to give 10 years of your life to hit 500, and you got to hit once a week, and it's kind of hard to, you start thinking in terms of Cal Ripken Jr. and the Iron Man, like, why that record's so difficult to achieve, because people have sick days.
Right.
What if you're doing it every Thursday, and then your work schedule happens, and now you can't do it on Thursday? You've done messed yourself up, or you're sick. Things happen. So I did start thinking about that, and I'm like, all right, well, 1,000 is not impossible. Like 500 was, I don't want to say easy, but it was achievable, and it was achieved. So we could do like right now, I don't know. Maybe I'm secretly thinking 2,000, maybe.
It sounds like you've broken the ceiling, so it's kind of hard to even conceive of unattainable goals at this point.
Yeah, like I think my next one is 1,020. I think we did 1,019 Friday night. Yeah, I think we did 1,019 Friday night. So, yeah, tomorrow night I've got Book of Worms from Richmond, Virginia calling in. So this has been a really nice weekend for rock and roll for me. Did Friday night? Well, let me think now. Was that one of the days this week? We did an episode where D. Calhoun from Iron Man band called in. Of course, now he's fronting Spiral Grave, but he called in to talk about the 4th anniversary of the tribute to Alfred Morris, who unfortunately died 4 years ago, and that the other night was I think it was the 18th, but I'm not 1,000% sure that's true. But yeah, so last night, what's today? Say Sunday.
Yes, it is.
Yes. Okay, now I knew. I was thinking on the way in here. I was like, what did I do Friday that was so monumental? I didn't do anything monumental Friday. I did episode 1,019 Friday. Yay, that's great, but it wasn't like, nothing super duper great. Last night, I was up in Frederick, Maryland, emceeing the record release party for Strange Highways, a phenomenal band out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, that are unsigned currently. So if you out there have a record label, you need to get on that, because I'm seriously thinking about starting my own record label just to sign Strange Highways, because I want to make $1 million, and I think this band's got a really good chance of being a success. And if you that already have one want to pick that up, give me an executive producer credit on the album, and we'll call it a deal. Otherwise, I'm in, man. I might do it, and start my own thing and release this thing. So that was last night, and then tonight I'm here with you, Ed, and then tomorrow I've got Book of Worms from Virginia calling into my show. So
awesome! It's
a cool rock and roll weekend.
Yeah. What about short-term goals? Do you have anything right now that you're looking on to improve the radio show with, or maybe you're working on some music in the background still?
Good question. Yeah, I got a couple irons in the fire. I record a little tiny bit of background vocals on D. Calhoun's next album, his 4th album, that's coming out on Argonauta Records. I'm not sure when. It's recorded, it's mixed, it's in Argonauta Records' hands, so I will be appearing on that. I'll be coming down to Orion Studios next week to record a little bit of background vocals for Bert Hall from Mangog's solo record.
Awesome.
At some point, going to record with Edmund Allen Brown, who's been in a ton of bands. He's currently in The Crow's Eye. Going to record a song with him. We know exactly what song we're doing. It's an original tune. It's going to be, he wants to call it Benzotti and the Southern Gentleman. Hey, man, I'm open for that. It's not going to be a Crow's Eye song. It's not going to be on a Crow's Eye album. But
right.
Yeah, but that one I'm not going to be doing background vocal. That's going to be like me doing my vocals. So yeah, I am looking. I'm looking to dabble. For years now, Wino and I have been talking about doing a song together. That has yet to come to fruition, but we've been talking about that, and he collaborates with a ton of people. So hopefully that iron's still in the fire. It's still on my end. Wino, if you're listening, I hope it's still on your end. I'd love to do that.
Yeah, hook up with Benzotti. Let's get it going.
Yeah. If you're in the Maryland area and want a background vocal guy that's somewhat metal related, hit me up because I'm not shy, man. I like the idea of being on recordings.
Nice.
It's musical recordings.
Yeah.
It's cool being on the radio. Like I'm stoked. Like I'm fanboying hard sitting on this end of the mic. Like this is cool.
I'm glad you're enjoying it.
A 1,000 times on your side, it's cool. I still do it night after night, but it's really neat to be on this side. Yeah.
Cool. Has there ever been a moment in your career so far where you felt you reached a huge personal milestone in the things that you do?
I've had a couple really, I've had a couple really interesting things happen over the years. One, well, geez, man, you might have been sorry you asked that, but you did say we got as long as we want.
Yeah.
So I've got quite a few like really cool things that have happened. One that was terrible, but nonetheless occurred as a youth. I was beaten up on stage in D.C. By Slayer and their road crew.
Okay.
Yeah. I wish that would have happened now. Man, I wish I was a kid now because I could, now everybody's so happy. At the time, I was just like, well, that really sucks.
Yeah.
There was way too many of you and only one of me. And, that just sucks. You guys should feel bad for that. Yeah. So.
That's a milestone?
Well, it's a thing. I don't know how many people can say that,
That is true.
And for
some people
months,
carve Slayer into their forearms after that.
No, I'm not going to do that. You know what I did after that? I boycotted them for 10 years. I was pissed off at them. I'm like, dude, man.
Understandably.
I was 16, man. Why'd you have to do that? And why'd you have to, whatever you hell you call it that, where we're multi people,
Put the boots to you.
Yeah, literally. I went to high school the next day with 2 black eyes. It's like, man, what the hell happened to you? I went to the Slayer concert last night. There's more to it. But yeah. So there was that. However, earlier in that evening, I met a reporter for the Washington Post. It was at the Warner Theater in D.C., and there was probably 3,000 people there. But I just have like a certain luck knack thing. So the friend that I was with actually met the reporter and said, you got to talk to my friend. And we crossed paths. This was before cell phones and all, but we crossed paths again. She's like, oh, you got to meet this lady. And we hooked up, and I talked to the reporter, and she ended up coming out to my house in Maryland and talking to me. And then the concert was in December of 86. And then in June of 87, so like 7 months later, I'm down in Ocean City, Maryland. It's senior week. And I called home. Hey, Mom and Dad, I'm still alive. I'm drinking beer and having fun. It's great. They said, Jane from the Washington Post called. Your article's coming out this week. What day? Oh, it's coming out Wednesday. So I'm down in Ocean City, and I'm searching for a Washington Post newspaper. And I find one, and then I buy up a bunch of them when I'm down there. So keep in mind, now I'm a senior in Ocean City, and I got my picture on the front page of the style section or whatever it was of Washington Post. So I became a huge success.
Nice.
On senior week. So that happened, and that was a humongous article. It was like the front page with photos, and then it flipped, and it was like a full gatefold inside. She really, I don't know how many words it was, but it wasn't about me, but I was prominently featured in that article.
Right.
And then as a result of that, and it took me 10, 15 years to find this. As a result of that, right after that, apparently I was persecuted very hard by some church. Like really hard.
Huh.
Yeah. And they were like singling me out, and like I'm in the same sentence with Slayer and Ozzy Osbourne and Alice Cooper and me.
You're the poster child of the demonic music.
Yes, yes, and I knew nothing about it. I knew absolutely nothing about it, and I can't even, for the life of me, remember how I found out about it. I think I started Googling and trying to research this Washington Post article, and that opened up a wormhole, and I found this thing, and I'm like, what? I mean, it went on this whatever this church was, and I contacted them. Like, I was like, hey, I'm that minor that you like attacked and called the Antichrist and all this stuff. I'm like, do you still feel that way, or like, do you want to talk about it? Like we can air out our problems. I'll talk to your congregation via the internet. Whatever. So that happened, which was another
Yeah.
But it's all off of this one Slayer concert. Booking shows as a kid, that was like kind of a cool milestone. Let me think. Meeting Rob Halford was a milestone. That was cool. Meeting in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Me and my friend, who at the time, me and him were like concert buddies. We were going to like, I don't know, man, 3-4 concerts a week that time. And we would go to like anything, and everything. And we were not afraid to travel. So we're up in Philly for the Operation Rock and Roll concert, which was co-headlined by Alice Cooper and Judas Priest, Metal Church, Motorhead were on it, and Dangerous Toys. Well, at the time, and I'm still friends with, but at the time I was friends with Dangerous Toys because I was pen pals with their singer, Jason McMaster, from way back in the day in the 80s when he was singer for Watchtower. So I got these passes to get on this Operation Rock and Roll deal. It's like, okay, where's your closest town? Well, Philly's close, DC's close. You're not coming to Baltimore. So we went to both. So Jason and I go in, not Jason McMaster, but Jason Smith and I, we get backstage passes and we get in and we're wandering around the hallway and we see all these people lined up and it's, man, something's going on. And like, we're kind of like professional, like music scammers, I guess, wedding crashers almost, So we're both like young and got nuts of steel. We're like, yeah, man, just jump in here. We got laminates. So we get in there. We're saying, so it's Electric Factory, that the big promoter up in Philly is holding the thing. And then I realized, I mean, we're in the wrong room. But I start schmoozing, I see the lady with the clipboard and I start talking, hey, at the time, I think I was writing for a fanzine called Gray Matter out of somewhere in Texas. Dallas, Texas, Houston, Texas, Austin, Texas, some damn Texas, Austin, I think. So I was writing for this fanzine, so I start telling her this, and I'm like, I'm supposed to be on that list, and can you just pencil me in, and she's like, I'm like rattling off some good stuff. So she's like, yeah, writes me in. I'm like, okay, cool. So that's my buddy, yeah. So we get in and we go downstairs and we're like go through all this stuff. So finally we get to this one thing and then they start checking laminates. Mm-hmm. Now our laminate had I think ours was triangle and they're looking for like this rectangle. And it's like hardcore dude down there is like, if you don't have the rectangle pass in the purple color, you're getting thrown out. And I'm like, oh shit, man, dude. Like, we can't, I'm good, but I can't turn this triangle into a rectangle. I can't do it. So we duck in this room. I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like, we could duck in this room, hide, and then, eventually we know which way we came. We'll go back up and escape, right? So we go in this room. What is it? It's the family room. And Alice Cooper's band's in there. So Vinnie Moore's playing guitar for him at the time, and I think Eric Singer was drumming, but I wouldn't swear to that. But there's like, like somebody's uncle's in there, and somebody, and the bass player's like, hey, can you hold this for a minute? So I'm like, sure. I'm like holding the bass player. And I'm like drinking free Heinekens. I'm just hanging out, talking to the family, talking to the band, and this, that. And Alice Cooper's not in there because Alice Cooper's down the room doing the meet and greet with the people that are supposed to be there. But, we are where we are. So it's actually kind of cooler. Yeah. Now, we end up meeting Alice Cooper 2 days or 3 days later down in D.C. But at the time, You know. So later that same night, as if our scamming wasn't quite sufficient, we decided to keep it going. So we end up back in the Judas Priest room at the end of the night. Mm-hmm. Same basic thing, except it's the Judas Priest room. And so there was that. One of really like super cool things, and really Ozzy himself followed Benzotti Live on not Instagram, Twitter for 72 hours.
Well, I mean,
but it was like I got this notification, right? And I got it on my thing, and I check it, and this is Ozzy Osbourne. Fine. I'm like, okay, cool. Somebody named Ozzy Osbourne. So then I click on it, and I look, and I'm like, holy shit! Yes, it is Ozzy Osbourne. Follows 78 people. Followed 4 million people. I'm like, dude, that's Ozzy's account. Like, it's really Ozzy. Yeah. I don't know why Ozzy's following Benzotti Live, so I'm like posting stuff to his Twitter, like not a tremendous amount. Praying, you're like, please, like retweet the link, man. Please retweet the link. He didn't, and then within 72 hours, whoever woke up and said, wait, no, you're not one of our 78 people we're following. So, so that happened. Oh, all right. I'm still on that. Still answering that question. I alluded to the 500th episode of the show. For the 500th episode, the band Spirit Caravan came to my studio to help celebrate, and they brought their acoustic guitars, and they were gonna help celebrate. So about 3 songs into it, Wino takes over the mic and he pulls out this piece of paper and it says Wino's communique. And I'm like, So he starts reading. On air on the 500th episode of Benzotti Live, the Obsessed is reborn. Yeah. He announces in there, Spirit Caravan is no longer, and we are now the Obsessed. Brian Costantino, Dave Sherman, and myself are now the Obsessed. We're carrying on with that. Spirit Caravan no longer exists. We might play some Spirit Caravan songs, but the Obsessed is born.
Wow.
Maryland Doomfest had already booked Spirit Caravan to headline Maryland Doomfest that year. So at that point, right there, we just made music history. A, the Obsessed just reunited on air, and B, we just switched headliners on air.
Yeah.
So, like Maryland Doomfest found out, well, hey, we got the Obsessed headlining now at the same exact time that I found out that they're doing it. But it was like really cool, and I'm really thankful for the band. Like Wine always been really cool to the show. He's been on the show twice now, and that both times were really, really cool. First time I got hanging on my wall, we were eating pizza, and he like drew the cover for the Obsessed album on a paper plate and like titled it on a paper plate that now hangs on my wall. But this was while they were still Spirit Caravan. Like there was no talk of the Obsessed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now it doesn't say the Obsessed up there, but it says Sacred on there. And it's, I'm like, like that happened the first time, and then they become the Obsessed on the second time. So yeah, that's nice. That's probably, I might think of more, but they're like some highlights of cool stuff that have happened.
That's awesome. A lot of stuff there.
Yeah.
The process.
It's been interesting. It's been a good ride.
So when it comes to you creating the radio broadcast now and any vocals and music stuff that you do these days, are there things that you stay away from, whether it be like genres or tropes? Or, do you, you're not a political guy, you're not a religious guy necessarily. Anything that you just don't want to touch?
No. It's funny because they're two separate. I have the ability to compartmentalize. So there's a Dave Benzotti and there's a Benzotti Live. Benzotti Live is like 100% music. Mm-hmm. Dave Benzotti definitely has opinions. And I have political opinions. And I'm usually not shy about my political opinions. Now, I will express them. And when I do, they get a lot of feedback. I get way more feedback on the political stuff than I do on the music stuff. It's kind of frustrating. You know? It's like, damn, man, I got all this killer metal stuff going on. And like more than a handful, but several handfuls of people go for it. I say a couple, not even controversial things. I say a couple vague things that enable you to open your mind and say, well, okay, I think he's talking about this. Let me comment. And like 600 or 700 comments later,
outrage machine just starts churning.
yeah, it's like, man, people come. So there is a part of me, and I've been kicking this around a lot, that wants to start another radio show. And you might be getting the exclusive right here, right now. This might be your...
You heard it here first.
You heard it here first, yeah, because I haven't said anything on my show at all. But there is a part of me that wants to create a separate show that has nothing to do with Benzotti Live, that just talks about things, that enables me to talk and enables me to talk to other people.
Right.
And that would be anything. I don't care, man. I will talk about anything, you know. Political subjects interest me. I think that they, the establishment, kind of want us to not be interested, that we're trained to think it's boring and it doesn't impact us. And, you know, your vote doesn't count and this, that, and the other. And I don't believe that at all. I think that personally, I think everybody in the United States should vote. Everybody. I don't want to say I think it should be mandatory, but I think it's disgusting that we have this right and there are other countries in the world where people struggle, you know, where it's life and death to vote. And people will take that risk. And some people will die in an attempt to vote. And we have this right. It's just handed to us. You know, hey, you can vote. It's your right as an American. You're over 18 years old. You're not a convicted felon. You know, you can vote. And we as a country just are like, maybe. That's disgusting to me.
General apathy at the time that it matters, but a lot of hot air online.
Yeah, 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 and that gets me going because it's like you know, well, you want to comment on something, but did you listen to it? No. Well, what are you commenting about? Like, what did he say? Whoever he is or she is, you know, you're ranting and raving. She said this or he said this. You don't even know. You didn't listen. Well, I mean. No, dude. Like, like, no, you can't. How? But I let on my page. It's funny. Like, if you go on my page and look at some of my political stuff, it's funny because I will let anybody on. I will not delete you. I'm not thin-skinned. You cannot see through my. You know, I'm not translucent. I get called all kinds of weird names. I don't care. Man, you can. I literally say anything you want. Just stick by your beliefs. That's all I ask. You know, if you say it, just, you know, everything I say, I mean, you know, like I don't really think I believe in anything crazy. You know, I just mean everything I say. I'm not saying I'm an expert. I'm definitely not.
Interesting. Somebody's on the phone over here, I guess.
Wow. All right. Yeah, but so I'm really considering doing that, and maybe that will like take off and get a lot of listens, and then maybe a few small percentage of them like rock and roll, and we'll come to Benzotti Live.
Yeah,
because my passion is really rock and roll and heavy metal, but it's hard to, you know, you got to scrape and crawl for each listen, especially the way the algorithms are nowadays.
Yeah.
God, it used to be easier, man.
What about the genres and stuff? Do you shy away from Bring the Noise or like the Limp Bizkit or things that are fringe metal or maybe like the Nazi black metal stuff and all that?
I mean, as a general rule, I play what I like. As a general rule,
right?
So yes, I guess. It's funny. Yes, I do shy away from the not necessarily the song "Bring the Noise." I've played that one over a few times. Was I crazy about when Anthrax Public Enemy did it? No, I wasn't crazy about it. I liked Public Enemy's version. It's not that the Anthrax and Public Enemy's version was bad. I wasn't crazy about it.
Yeah, yeah.
And I didn't like, as a result, that happened. I didn't like the Limp Bizkits. I don't like the Linkin Parks, the PODs, whatever, Korn. Like, it's just not my thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it's bad. It's just not my thing.
Right.
Every now and again, I'll play a Korn song just to fool people. Because I'll do stuff on my show all the time where I'll, like, switch gears. Like, sometimes I'll say, you know, I hope y'all are playing. What in the hell is he going to play next? Because, you know, I'm kind of off my meds a little bit, and I'm just going to play whatever. So I might go from, like, Beastie Boys to Metallica to Agnostic Front to Whitey Morgan in the 78s, you know, and it works on my show.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, on paper, it looks stupid. And when I first started the show, everybody said, oh, you can't do that. You can't do that. Everything they said I couldn't do, I've done, and it's worked. So, yeah, I mean, I don't own any of like Nazi metal, so I don't play any.
Right.
And I wouldn't necessarily like seek it out. Like, it doesn't tie into like my like, maybe musically they might be cool, but lyrically I'm not into that.
Yeah,
so yeah,
you mostly just play what you want to play.
Yeah.
And from what I've seen, the playlists really revolve around a metal lover's collection of metal, like a good mix of classics. Sometimes you get like two locals up in the mix and whatnot.
Yeah, you're never going to accuse me of being like cutting edge. You know,
Right.
I never do best of end of the year. I never do that. That's not my thing. There's people that do that so much better than I do. So I have a very limited budget.
Right.
So the radio station is self-funded. So unless I buy it, I usually don't have it. And I don't really have a whole lot of discretionary income. Occasionally a record company will share stuff. Occasionally a band will share stuff. I'm also not like into the whole begging thing. Like, I don't solicit bands. And say, I mean, occasionally I might hit a band up and say, hey, can you send me a song or two on MP3? Because I want to play it, but, you know, I don't have any right now.
Okay.
You know, and I don't, I mean, any band that's smart, truthfully, would send me stuff, which is
Right.
not saying, Christ, I hope like a billion bands will send me stuff. Because I like sort of the way it is too.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I don't do reviews.
Right.
I don't do the year-end lists. A lot of times I don't even know who's on the year-end list. I'm not current, like all the bands that I do like, I really don't have very many of their right now albums, because I'm also one of those ones that like physical copies.
It's kind of like an extension of you and what you want to listen to in a given day.
Yeah.
What it sounds like.
Yeah.
Like, kind of like when you go into a bar and a guy brings in the case of his 12 vinyls to set up for the night, and that's what he's spinning, you know?
Yeah. And I try to not be just, I mean, you can sort of tell my age from what I play. You can sort of, you know, at least the 10-year, 15-year gap, you know, because there's a lot of stuff that people in their like 20s and 30s that are into that I just don't know about.
Right.
You know, like, I'm not super big. Like, I don't know a whole lot of Deftones. I don't know a whole lot of, I don't know. Who else do I know? Slipknot, Mudvayne. I just, like, it's just, that wasn't, they're a little bit younger than me.
Right.
Like, I play some of that. I know some of that, but it's not.
New wave of American heavy metal sort of thing.
Yeah. Right. Like, and so now, like, I get bands that are current, but not super, like, I'm not actively searching out, and people aren't actively, they're not looking for like the latest sound.
Yeah, you're not the breaking.
I'm definitely not the breaking guy. No. Once every blue moon, I break something.
Right.
Once every blue moon. I'm hoping that I'm part of Strange Highways breaking. I'm hoping, like, I'm trying. Mangog, I play them. You know, if I'm aware, if I'm smart enough to get in at the ground floor, then I do it. I'm not like anti that.
Right.
You know,
right.
If I can catch somebody's debut show, great. If I can catch somebody's debut album, that's, you know, awesome.
Right.
If you want to do a world premiere with me and you contact me and want to do it, yeah, most definitely I'll do it. Absolutely. I've done several, but as a general listener, no, you're not tuning in, you know, tomorrow night to hear what's new.
Yeah.
No,
Gotcha.
man, there's so many other people that do that so much better.
Let's talk about the weird term success. And
Okay.
how do you gauge success for yourself, and do you feel successful within that framework?
Are we talking in like personally or in relation to the music, to the show?
I'd say in relation to the show and what you're doing, what you're putting out there.
Okay. I guess success to me is if I still enjoy it and other people still enjoy it, and there are listeners that are still tuning in. I guess I don't know if I've ever been relevant. I don't know. You know, like
do we ever know?
Right? Yeah. Like I don't have like these huge pretensions of myself. Like sometimes people will say things to me that kind of make me blush. You know, like I don't feel that. You know,
Right.
like and I appreciate it, and they mean it in a really nice, positive way. But I don't feel that. Like I'm not that. Like I'm not the Godfather of Doom or the what like yeah. Like or the whatever. I've been called the ambassador of metal. Okay, I like that one. That's cool. Like I could be a ambassador of metal, not the ambassador of metal.
Yeah.
Like I welcome that. That's cool. One of my friends has referred to me. There's a guy that I like super duper admire. A guy from Maryland named Ray Dorsey. That's just like he's like a super duper metalhead, man, and just music fan, not just metal, hard rock. And he was putting out fanzines when I was a kid. He was when I met him. He was working in a record store, and I would go and buy records from him and buy his fanzine, and I ended up writing for his fanzine. And I just like he turned me on to so many bands. It's not even funny. But I follow him on like social media and I read. But the dude has forgotten more about music than I know. and I mean, just flat out. So when my friend called me, well, you're the Ray Dorsey of metal. I'm like, please stop blaspheming. Please stop doing that. Like that is just not anywhere close to the truth.
Right.
Like I know you mean it in a way, but no. Like, no, Ray is just like, I mean, there's people that are just like musicians or fans. Like sometimes I call them super fans. And the world needs super fans. And I encourage one of my ideas, and it's not my idea, but I adopted it from a super fan, a guy named Mujib Basha, who I met through the internet. I knew through the internet. And I was at a show. I was at a Manila Road show in Essex, Maryland. And this guy says, "You're Dave Benzotti." And I said, "Well, yes, I am." And he's like, "Well, I'm Mujib Basha." And I'm like, "Oh, cool." We talked online, and I'm like, "Oh, man." So that was the first time we actually met in person. But he like lived in Chicago and worked in D.C. and went to concerts everywhere, and I'm meeting him in a concert in Essex.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't hold a candle to this dude as far as, like stuff. And once you start talking to him, like he's one of these guys that like really knows all kinds of stuff, gets involved in every kind of metal, will buy stuff, support music. I'm a big fan. Support local music no matter where you live. If you live in Albuquerque, support local music. Tampa, Florida, support local music. Everybody. Bangladesh, man, support local music. And if you can't support local music, support local arts. Like I will go to my niece's like ballet recital. I'll go to art exhibits. Support arts. Support art education. Support music education. Like that. Like I start getting into hug a tree. I'm a hippie dude. But like the world needs art appreciation.
Yeah.
And the world needs super fans. And the idea that I guess adopted off of Mujib was everybody can become a super fan of somebody. And it doesn't cost you money to become a super fan. Like people could become a super fan of your podcast.
I hope they do.
I hope they do too. And it won't cost them anything. Now, if you decide to buy, swag like this handy dandy Benzotti Live shirt, hint, hint, then they can support you financially. But in the meantime, they could do simple things like posts, comment on posts, share social media. hashtag, @ you know, whatever you can do for a band. You can become a fan of a band. And if you have disposable income, you can attend their shows. You can buy their merch. You can buy their merch and give it away. You know, I've done that. You know, like I like stuff so much. You know, I bought 2 or 3 copies of this so that I could pass it on.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I need you to have this, and I don't necessarily want you. Well, I mean, I want you to go buy it, but I don't want to force you to go buy it. So here, you know,
Right.
yeah, like I have definitely handed out CDs that you know that I've gotten for that specific reason. Photograph yourself in band T-shirts. Just simple stuff. Everybody can do something to help, and it doesn't require, you know, financial dedication. It just requires dedication of some degree. You don't have to be a super fan, but, you know, liking things and commenting things, you know, driving the algorithm. It doesn't all have to be bad news on the internet. You know,
Yeah.
we could have rock and roll and stuff and spread good news too.
Yeah. Then we can all be successful.
We can all be, yes. Sorry. Thanks for reeling me back in with that. Yes, thank you. That's. I guess that's where I was originally headed. Yes.
Well, I mean, we can definitely in what you were saying with you know, just having people who, you know, support us, enjoy the things that we do. You know, just having one person out there who does that means a lot. If you have a super fan,
yeah.
ideally, you know, it helps. Every little bit helps.
there's enough room for success for all of us. You know, for me to succeed doesn't mean you have to fail. You know, like now we're in a symbiotic relationship. You know, if you succeed, then I succeed. You know, and that's awesome. That's awesome, and that in turn helps the overall scene. You know, because the bands that you're talking about, bands that I'm talking about, you know, it kind of confuses me a little bit. Like I don't understand why bands don't share the link to my show constantly.
Right.
I don't get that. Like help me help you. Like some bands do, some bands don't. They just don't. It's like, why? You know, like
It seems like a what do they say? Rising tide lifts all boats. You know,
Yes.
you want everybody to stop treating it like a competition and more of like a team initiative.
Yeah.
We're all trying to get our stuff out there and be
learn from Seattle.
Yeah.
Grunge, like Seattle, man. I mean, you know, it started and then they cooperated with each other, and then every band out in Seattle was signed. Now, not everybody floated to the top, but everybody had a brief little inkling of, you know, whatever degree of success. Some of them got tremendous success.
Yeah.
But that was you know, I'm blessed to live where I do. You know, it took me about 45 minutes to get to where you are from where I am. I'm probably an hour and a half from Frederick. So geographically speaking, you know, there are more concerts that I could physically go to. So, you know, I feel bad for metalheads out in, you know, Idaho and Montana that have to drive 3 hours or 4 hours to attend the show. You know, there's 3 or 4 different, and I'm exaggerating. There's 3 or 4 that I'm personally interested in, like all the time. You know, it's like, well, do I feel like driving here? Do I feel like driving there? Do I really desperately want to see this one? You know, what's the deal? You know, but and I like, how lucky am I to like? I realize how lucky I am. So that's why I try really hard to support. You know, and even I can't, like I said the other day, there was a show I wanted to go see at Metro Gallery Friday night. But I'd worked all damn week, and I felt so bad Thursday that I took a COVID test. I failed it, by the way, so I'm completely cool. And I'm boosted, vaccinated, all that bit too. Yeah, I'm not spreading the plague. But I'm so damn worn out. But I said on there, I said, well, you know, I there's no way I could get to 1,000 episodes if I'm out doing live rock and roll constantly.
Yeah.
You know, like there's got to be a little give and take. You know, so. I'm doing my part, you know. Last night I went to a live show. Tomorrow I'll be doing a show from my home. But it's all helping to spread. So where I was going with that was, especially up in Maryland Doom Fest, I get equate. A lot of people see my face and equate me with that festival. I MC that, so I'm introducing, you know, 30 bands a weekend or something. So you see me a lot.
Right.
So it's like, okay, there's that guy, you know. And I always joke with him. I'm like, yeah, I'm easy to spot, man. I'll be the fat old white dude with the goatee and the black T-shirt. You know?
Yeah.
Can't miss me. Can't miss me.
Very unique.
And look at that's you know, you've 15 of me out there. Or, you know, so, but people that travel from far away all are extremely complimentary about Maryland. They just, you know, like we've had it described as a love fest. I mean, it's like a family reunion. The vibe and it's total. My daughter went to a concert in DC. Now God love her. She's like pop music, which is cool, but she's not a metalhead, and that's all right. The apple fell and rolled a little bit, but she went to a concert and she was describing the crowd, and it was a completely different crowd. The pop crowd that she was describing was not anywhere like. I said to her, I was like, Lex, you might want to switch genres. I mean, I know you like pop music, I get it, but man, come to the. We got cookies, you know, like come to the good side. Like, you know, we like everybody knows each other. We're all like, you know, we hug, you know, we embrace like the concept. You know, you could come to my house, you can hang out with me, we'll feed you. You know, if you come to a Maryland Doom Fest, you're not going to not come back. You know, like everybody that says it. You know, we had a couple that came from Arizona last year, and I mean, before they left, actually, like on day 2, they're like, we're coming back next year. We're coming back. And we've had people travel from Europe to come to Maryland Doom Fest. So it's not, we keep seeing, it's awesome because we keep seeing new faces, but we keep seeing repeat faces. And like people are flying in, but you know, if it was looking in the parking lot, I mean, there'd be like license plates from all over.
Right.
You know, New Mexico, California, Florida, up in New England. And I also like this trend that's going on in America, right? It's been happening in Europe, but where music festivals, especially heavy music festivals, local heavy music festivals, are popping up and continuing.
Yeah.
Like that's a great sign. Descendants of Crime in Pittsburgh, New English Stoner and Doomfest up in Connecticut, Gravitoid Music down in Austin, Texas. I mean, they got South by Southwest. They've had that for a long time, but you know, it's just like local organic scenes that are producing repeat festivals. I just found out this week that Descendants of Crime Pittsburgh is going to be doing, that's not its official name, it's Descendants of Crime, and then I add in Pittsburgh. But they're going to have their 4th edition of it in 2022. So that's fantastic news. So,
awesome.
You know, and then Psycho Las Vegas started, and then of course, you know, they got a lot of like bigger, better financial backing there, but still it's fantastic that it's occurring, you know. Yeah, so great thing. Enough room for success for all of us.
Yeah, definitely. I'm optimistic myself.
Yeah. I am. I'm overall, the more I hear and the more I interact, I am optimistic about the future of heavy music.
Right on. What would you say is the most difficult part about being a radio guy in 2022?
Trying to expand the audience, maybe. Just trying to get listens.
Right.
Just get listens. And it's not like fighting for ratings or anything. It's just like one of my things, hashtag spread the metal.
Yeah.
If you type that in, hashtag spread the metal, you'll be led to Benzotti Live. And that's really what I want to do. Spread them. That's big reason why I came here to talk to you today. Spread the metal.
Yeah.
You know, let's talk on your show. Let's talk, you know, on my show. Let's, you know, spread the metal. And just get listens. It was so much easier when I started in 2013 to get listens. I hardly shared the link at all. And it was easy 100 listens, easy, like no problem. And then they switched the algorithms on Facebook and Twitter and just everything. Yeah. So it's like people used to be able to see it, and now, you know, if you share too much, they hit you up, say you're violating community standards. And it's like, ugh.
They want you to pay to get your stuff out there.
Yeah, right. Yeah. They started that boost thing on Facebook. Yeah. So, yeah. Well, we'll let people hear it, but you got to pay for it.
Right.
You know? And it's like, it's funny because the same one that they'll say you violated community standards on, they'll send me a thing saying for $14, you can boost this and 39 other people will see it. And I'm like, dude, I just violated your standards.
Right.
But you want me to pay you to violate your standards. No, that's bizarre and weird. So it's just difficult to do. So, sometimes I sound like a broken record where I'm asking people on air. I'm not asking for money. I'm asking, please hit the share button.
Well, being in a band and also doing a podcast, it's the same thing. It's constantly, please connect with us somehow.
Yes,
please.
somehow. Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, it's a struggle. And that's, if you're in a band, you need like all members of your band and like their significant others and like your cousins and your aunts and uncles and friends to do it.
Yeah.
And I mean, realistically, people, I mean, seriously, it's so simple. Hit like, hit share, comment. Comment drives things.
Yeah.
And it's, there are times where sometimes I want to insert like completely unrelated political nonsense into my music post just so I could generate 500 comments. But I haven't reduced myself to that yet. But
yeah, I sometimes teeter on the edge of being intentionally obnoxious in one way or another.
Yeah.
Emojis recently, just trying to put in as many emojis into my posts as possible, just to look like somebody who just got a smartphone.
Right.
Just to make it look interesting.
I mean, hell, this guy John from Florida, who's now known as John from Brooklyn, taught me about hashtags. Like I had been doing, I probably did 200 or 300 episodes of Benzotti Live before he even taught me about hashtags. I'm like, huh? You can do that? What is this? And then I saw it. Meteoric. How many people saw it and how many people liked it and this, that, and the other. And listener numbers jump. So, yeah. That's
Let's talk about the nature of music as it is currently. You were around when Napster became a thing.
Yeah.
Prior to Napster, you bought music or, was played on the radio and somebody got paid for that. And my generation, I'll probably admit, and the people who are younger than me, became very used to getting music for free.
Yeah.
And it's changed the dynamic of how we all get music and how the consumer views parting with their hard-earned dollars to pay back the musician. So I usually ask everybody, do you believe that songs themselves have a monetary value?
Well, this is touchy. I pay to do my podcast. So I pay the server or whatever to do that. So if I play a song, put it this way, if I had to pay to play a song, I couldn't do it. Even if I paid at the rate that Spotify pays, I couldn't do it because I got 1,000 episodes, So the $50 a month that I pay for the right to do it, like if I had to individually be like, oh, here, Mangog, here's your penny, here, Metallica, here's your penny, at 26 pennies, whatever, eventually it would add up.
Right.
Yes, I do believe that music has and songs have a monetary value. I mean, do I think that like a Spotify or all these streaming places should do better with revenue sharing? Absolutely. Are they a necessary evil? Maybe, I guess. I mean, I'm sure. I mean, there's no way that bands, because you see them every now and again, you'll see these, every band in the world is posting their Spotify statistics or whatever. Yeah. And it's like, okay, so-and-so heard, 1.2 million times, downloaded such and such a time, whatever, whatever the thing is. All right, yeah, there's no way that this, somewhat regional band out of the mid-Atlantic is going to, on their own, be heard 1.2 million times.
Yeah.
Should they receive, $5.32 for that? Probably not. They should probably get a little more. I don't believe that, like, these mega company, the Amazons of the world and the Spotifys and the YouTubes, all these like mega conglomerates should be making all of the money. No, it's a form of slavery. we're not going to have artists if artists can't exist. I mean, truthfully, you know the deal. I mean, you play a show, maybe you get paid, maybe you don't get paid. If you do get paid, is it enough to split between 3 people or 5 people? If you have a roadie, have you ever paid a roadie? You know, it's just pay a sound guy. Well, okay, now I got to dip into my pocket to pay. Yeah. It's a nasty way it is now. So I'm not a huge fan of it, you know, and I'm not getting rich off of it. I'm not getting any. I call the radio my expensive hobby. That's you know,
right.
Yeah, you know, like I say, I buy my own music. I pay my way into shows. I buy the radio itself. Every now and again, every blue moon, I'll get a sponsor. It's not often. I don't do commercials. I'm not against doing commercials. If anybody out there wants to do a commercial, you know, I'm all for it. I got a whatever you call that thing, PayPal. You know, I mean, at one point, you know, I get disgusted with it too, and I'm not getting 1.2 million, you know, in listeners, you know. But it's like when I hit 80,000 listens, you know, and because I used to pay for the show a year at a time. That's how I did it, and it would come due, it'd be like $500. It's like, man, I don't have $500. So sometimes we'd have benefit concerts, and sometimes it would go off the air for a while until I got $500. Nowadays, I do it, and it costs me more because there's 12 months, and now it's $600. So it costs me $50. I think I better double check and make sure. Because now I better double check. I think it costs me $50 a month. It might be more to do, but there's 12 months.
Yeah.
But you know, it's easier than coming up with a lump sum.
Right.
But yeah, I wish there was a way to generate some kind of income more for me. You know, yeah, I'd like to get a little tiny bit. These T-shirts don't print themselves. You know, stickers don't make themselves.
Right.
Yeah.
So, what is it that you do to? What are your strategies? I mean, or your daytime job that allows you to fund the stuff, the passion projects in life?
Well, I'm lucky. I do have a daytime gig. I've always had to have a daytime gig. So I work in a big warehouse and operate forklifts. And I mean, forklift operators make a fairly decent wage. So that's how I can fund Benzotti Live. Occasionally, like I say, you know, there are donations. I do create T-shirts now and again and sell them for a you know, mere pittance. My wife today, she was like, I was giving the band last night grief. I was telling them, don't give your stuff away. You know, they were giving their T-shirts away a little bit. And I'm like, don't do that. Stop it. Like, I'm like giving them, like, I feel like grandpa, get off my lawn. You know? And I was telling my wife that right before I came here. And she's like, well, remember that first batch of shirts? I said, yeah. She goes, how many did you give away? I said, she goes, that's what phase they're in. Like they're, you know, they're growing, they're learning. They're learning that they, you know, I'm like, I know, but $10. I said, same deal. And you were a lot older than them, you know, you were like 30 years older than them when you did it. So, you know, or whatever years older. So let them learn, you know, like, don't be so hard on them. All right. I don't want them to suffer like I did, you know.
Right.
You pay $500 to get shirts made, then give them all away, you know, and it ties into that whole like, oh, exposure, you know, come play at my restaurant, you'll get exposure, you know, no, come cook at my house, man, you know, you'll get my family will eat your food, you know, perform at my wedding for free, no, man, there's gotta be some kind of something, you know, some kind of,
right,
well, performing services.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Compensation. Time is money.
Time is money. Time is, I mean, there's no way. I couldn't begin to make the money that out of this, you know. The amount of 1,000 episodes worth of radio, like I can't put a price tag on that, and I'm not even going to pretend to.
Right.
You know. But at one point when I was like thinking, like, you know, 80,000 listens, I don't even know where we are now, probably closer to 90. We might even be creeping up on 100. Again, with the algorithm. Used to be able to see that really easy.
Yeah.
Now I can hardly figure out what's what. Like everything's daggone difficult to figure out. You know, it used to be like real cut and dry. But you know, I was doing the math and I'm like, man, for a lousy dime, if everybody pitched a dime, 1/10 of $1 for an episode, I'd have $8,000. Man, I could run the radio station 24 hours a day. I'd have any music I wanted. I've had cool mics, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I used the same mic for like 950 episodes. And it was just, I mean, it was a hand-me-down mic that Thunder Rollers gave me. And it was, I mean, if you looked at it, it worked. It worked well. But if you looked at it, I mean, you'd giggle. I mean, I'm looking at yours and I'm like, man, you know, this is cool. You know? This dude did 950 episodes with this thing that looks like I don't know, like a bent reed.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Yeah. But I had like wino and still and playing acoustic and you know in the studio, which is you know in my basement. You know, using this one mic. Damn, if it didn't sound good.
Hey, there are some pretty good microphone techniques using one mic out there.
Yeah.
I was watching some stuff about the Amy Winehouse song Rehab, how they recorded the whole drum kit with one mic placed very precariously.
Right.
So, speaking of gear, I guess, do you have a favorite piece of gear that you've owned or used ever?
No.
Not a favorite gear guy?
I'm not a gear guy. I don't even have a mic right now. I don't even. I use the laptop mic right now.
Oh, okay.
Like I had a mic. I'm like I'm not a gearhead. I'm like I make fun of myself on air a lot. But it's. I mean I'm not joking. Like I am joking, but everything I'm saying is true.
Yeah.
Like I'm literally stupid when it comes to this stuff. Like the people say, "Oh, you know great computers. You do a radio show." I'm like, "Yeah, I know how to do my radio show."
Yeah.
But as soon as the first thing goes wrong, then I'm like flopping around like a fish out of water.
Right.
So what happened was I had this mic and it worked great, and then somehow I hit a button and I don't know what button I hit, and then I hit another button to try and fix it, and then I hit a button. And then I started getting echoes. I mean, I couldn't get out of it. Like I could not.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I had to get my friend to come and like fix the situation. He couldn't figure out how to get the mic back.
Huh.
So now I have this nice mic. I don't know what brand it is, but it was a nice mic. Still is a nice mic. It just sits off to the side. And now I just use that.
That's a shame.
It is a shame. It is a shame. But to tell you the truth, I liked the sound of the old mic that I made fun of that I did the first 950. And I liked the old way I used to use Sam Broadcaster in connection with Spreaker, and now I just use Spreaker because I couldn't figure out how to do the Sam Broadcaster, and then it was explained, well, you really don't need it, and it's easy to do that. I'm like, well, easy in me is fine. You know, if it involves any kind of anything, then it's not. I'm by myself. I don't have any.
Right.
There's nobody I can lean on and be like, hey, you know, nobody's like, here, I got this, you know.
Yeah.
It's no, I screw it up and it's screwed up. And then it's screwed up until somebody fixes it. So, yeah, I got nothing for gear.
I understand.
Yeah.
So, how about hobbies or passion projects that are outside of the music and radio spectrum? Do you have things that you do outside religiously, or not religiously, air quotes,
Right.
that interfere or, you know, fight with the scheduling of the radio or anything like that?
I'm one of these humans that I could sort of only do one thing at a time a lot. I tend to like delve into stuff. So I was really, really into rock and roll, really into metal. And then right around 95-ish, I stopped. My one bandmate died. My other bandmate quit. The band dissolved. I ended up in a relationship. It was just a lot. So I kind of like, I don't want to say abandoned rock and roll, but I switched a lot of heavy emphasis. I wasn't doing 2, 3, 4, 5 shows a week, not radio shows, just like live shows. I listen to like 70s rock in my spare time, and I just got into other stuff. And then I got heavily into motorcycles, and I did motorcycles for years. I mean, got heavily into them. And then I wrecked, or was wrecked, however you want to look at it. I was in a, I don't want to call it near fatal because that's more than it was, but I mean, you know, any wreck on a motorcycle could be fatal.
Yeah.
But it was bad enough. It broke both my arms, and he called me Broken Arm Dave for like 6 months. So that changed my life, and then I got out of motorcycles. My frame on my body was bent in several places. My frame on my motorcycle was broken 2 places. So I got out of motorcycles for a long, long time. Just this past year, I got a new one. Well, new to me. It's a 2005, but it's new to me. So yeah, I love motorcycles. I still love motorcycles, and I like riding them. Does it impact my radio? No, because I'm not like that passion's the music passion is still strong. I still love beer. I love beer, but beer doesn't love me. I get gout now.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh God, I'd never wish that on you or any other person in the world.
I got a coworker with gout.
Oh, so you've heard, you know, it's terrible. Oh my God. And it's so bad that I haven't quit, but I don't drink. So I don't have any, like, you know, no little chips, no milestones, no celebrations, no nothing. It's just, you know, like, I mean, had you said you want a beer, I would have said, yeah, okay. Had you said you want 6 beers, I'd be like, no, you know,
Right.
No, because I'm scared to death. You know, I got it in my left knee, and it's like, geez, a whiz. I thought the big toe was bad, and the big toe was god awful. Like, it was dreadful. But then I got it in the knee, and it's like you pray for death. You know, it's like I cannot function. You know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but yeah, and beer did get in the way of life. You know, quite a few separate times over the year. But I never quit for that, you know. It was gout that finally, and like I said, I'm not a quitter. I have not quit. I'm just not active.
Yeah.
I'm not a, you know, like practicing. I'm not a practicing drunkard right now.
Yeah,
you know? And I don't know if I'm ever going to foresee it coming back. But the funky thing is, man, I also, like, I would have, like, not quit many years ago had I known it was going to be hard, you know, like when the state was like, you have to quit because we dictate what you say, you know,
right.
You must live this way. You must attend this meeting, and you must, you know, not consume this beverage. I fought that tooth and nail. I'm like, no, man, you know, you can't tell me what to do. But yeah. Oh, and I love reading. I love reading. There have been several days in my life, just random days where I've not written, that'd be really something, read an entire novel in a day. Not a tremendous size novel, you know, not like Stephen King's big books, but like a 300-page novel. Yeah.
Ooh, I used to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Brain doesn't work like that anymore for some reason. Yeah. Working on it.
Yeah. I got 2 books now from the library right now. So I support my local library, support my local bookstore. Yeah.
Fiction,
like
nonfiction.
Yeah.
Anything. Awesome.
Yeah, I like to read. I watch Jeopardy all the time, you know, at TV. I was like, how do you know this stuff? I'm like, I read.
Yeah, fair enough.
You know, that's how I learn. I watch some stuff and I read. I read a lot, you know, and I read like a variety of topics. You know, I don't have like a specific thing that I'm, you know, really, really into. I start reading something, that's kind of cool. You know, opens, you know, rabbit holes, wormholes, or whatever. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I like to learn stuff. Yeah,
awesome.
And you can learn stuff in fiction. You know.
Yeah.
A lot of fiction, but yeah. You know, don't necessarily believe everything. You know, it's a made up story.
Yeah.
But
maybe not Harry Potter, but you know, some of the stuff.
But I did like start to read a Harry Potter book, and the adaptation of the movie was like they did really well with it. It was almost like word for word. I'm like, wow, they did well with this.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, there's really no reason because I watched all the Harry Potter movies.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of reason
Yeah,
to watch.
like I
read the
don't
books.
need to. Yeah, I don't need to watch them again, and I don't need to read the books because it's literally. I saw that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this has been pretty enlightening getting to talk to a fellow podcast producer, radio guy, content creator, as I believe we are called these days.
You like that term?
I mean, I'm not opposed to it, I suppose. Yeah. It's weird.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about it.
But where can people find you and any projects that you want to plug on the internet?
Oh, that's another wonderful question. I pretty much name everything Benzotti Live. So it's kind of easy to do. If you Google Benzotti Live, Benzotti, Benzotti Live, or hashtag Spread the Metal, that's one of my tags. We're on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. I got a personal page on Facebook. I got a Benzotti Live page on Facebook. I really like it if people would use the Benzotti Live page on Facebook. Like I created that for the music, you know, like the other stuff, man. It's like pictures of my dog and stuff, you know. It's not necessarily, like I said, I can compartmentalize. You know, Dave Benzotti's different from Benzotti Live. Benzotti Live strictly music.
Right.
That's all I want to talk about is music. But a lot of it bleeds over to my personal page.
Does it have a schedule currently for the releases?
My show?
Yeah, for the show.
No, there's no real. I think, you know, other than in the beginning, it was super easy to do. 6 days a week, every day but Sunday.
Right.
And it had nothing to do with religion. It was just like, man, that's one day I'm going to not do it.
Yeah.
But no, there's not right now. Right now, good days are Monday Night Metal. I've been doing a lot of Mondays. I've been doing a lot of Thursdays. Mm-hmm. But depending on my work schedule, sometimes I do Fridays, depending on. Usually not Saturdays because I'm supposed to work 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. and the show usually starts at 8 p.m.
Right on.
So if you want to find Benzotti Live Eastern Standard Time, usually 8 p.m. is a good time to look. Any of the links will take you to the show, and then if you go to Spreaker, so that's where it is, Spreaker, Spreaker, Spreaker.com. If you follow us on Spreaker, which we 80-some thousand listens, we've got like 200-some followers. Mm-hmm. I don't understand that. Those 200 people did not listen, you know,
right,
160, whatever. Like, whatever it is. They listen to the same episode 100 times a piece,
yeah,
you know, every day, constantly. That's not how, but so I can't understand that at all. So apparently a lot of people don't follow us, but if you do, you get a little notification as soon as we go live. Twitter, there's a Benzotti Live on Twitter. Instagram, where else? Oh, damn, why didn't I say this? We're now on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podcast Chaser, Podcast Addict. We're on something called Geo Savan in India.
Okay.
That's the country of India, but it has a lot. I mean, there's billions of people that live in India, and yeah, we're on that. And we're probably a bunch of other places that I don't even know about. Not on Spotify right now, but maybe at some point will be. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, pretty much anywhere where you can find podcasts, look for Benzotti. Look under music commentary. Yeah.
So we'll try to grab some links and put them in the description of the video and the show notes of the podcast version. Get everybody linked up to Benzotti Live as best as they can.
Yeah. It's like I said, it is harder to find, which it's weird. I find it easy, but I know where it is. Mm-hmm. But yeah, like I say, if you Google it, it'll pop up immediately in some way. Like, and usually every day I'll post a link on Facebook and Twitter. Either just a broad like iHeartRadio link or the broad Apple link or the specific shows.
Right.
But, you know, I think right now there are 69 episodes up on any given spot. So if you hit one of those and you like it, you got 68 others you can listen to. So I think it's like 177 hours worth of music or something crazy, 117 hours. There's a bunch of music. It'll keep you busy. Like if
yeah.
And not I don't want any of you to catch COVID, but if you do and you just like want to like dude, all I want to do is listen to metal radio. I got you covered for, at least 100 and some odd hours.
Yeah.
You could just continually. And like, if you listen to Spreaker, when that one ends, it'll take you to the one before it. It'll take you to the one before it. I don't think Apple or iHeart do that, but maybe they do. I don't know. But you get the main thing, the main page. Yeah, the main page. You could listen to them. And like I try to label them. Like I try to label them episode number. So if somebody wants to look up a specific one, I try to name them, which is funny because
the naming's hard.
Yeah, you try naming something 1,000 times. It's like so now I've gotten to the point where I don't even really make any like true effort into it. I just like steal somebody's song title. Borrow, whatever, tribute somebody's song title, it's an honor, I take somebody's song title and call the episode that. It's somebody that's in the episode. And then I try to do like a different link photo every time too, which that's also difficult to do.
Yeah.
But, just so. But then it's hard to like tell somebody. So that's why I try to label them now, episode one. Like we just had the 1,000th episode. So if you're looking to check one out, that's a good one to check out. There's sometimes I get some cool call-ins. So some cool guests. Had Kings of Liars call in from New York not too long ago. Got Book of Worms calling in. The one I just posted today. This was a bizarre show, man. I did 971 episodes. Never had this problem. I bring this band down, Strange Highways from Philadelphia. They bring their acoustic instruments. We're going to set up. Normally what we do, we set up, we talk like a little bit. I play like 2 or 3 songs. Then we get into chit-chatting a little bit. You strum your guitar. You sing your song. Maybe you'll sing another one. We talk a little bit more. I play a couple more songs. Then you play a little bit more. I could not, for the life of me, get a recorded song to play. I started that episode 5 times. Now, the thing with Benzotti Live is it's Benzotti Live. Like, warts and all, no overdubs. You get what you get. In the beginning, it was funny because I used to get so angry and so frustrated. It was. I look back and I laugh because it's like, oh my God, dude, you took this so seriously. Like I'd like turn like red in the face and cuss and yell and scream when stuff went wrong. Now I just like, hey man, it is what it. But now nothing. Knock on wood. Not much goes wrong. Yeah. But that night, I could not, and I have no idea why. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like I don't know what to do. So, like, we're not talking. Well, actually, we are talking off air because I can't get the thing to get on air.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, look, man, you got your guitars. You guys know a bunch of songs. You got a bunch of originals. You know a bunch of covers. Do you want to just like go live and we'll talk and play songs? And they're like, yeah, man, we came here to be on the radio. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
So we did it. And it was episode 972, and it ended up being the 9th month, the 27th. Was that it? No, 972. So I think that was the 7th day of the 9th month in 2021. So it was, anyway, 972 and 972 synced up.
Yeah. And
that's only happened one time, and it hasn't happened since. And I hope it doesn't again because I just don't have an episode that day. Because unless I got a happy, like a band there.
Yeah.
So, but that was really freaky weird. So I reposted that today because they had their record released last night. So there's like a buzz going around the internet. Strange Highways out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. They are a band that if you don't know now, I'm telling you, you're hearing it on your show, Ed. This is, yeah.
Well, we'll have to check out Strange Highways.
Yeah.
Hope everybody who's listening checks out Benzotti Live at some point in the future.
I hope so.
I noticed they had our good friends from Haze Mage on the show recently.
Yeah. They just played Friday night. They played a show in Baltimore. That's the one I wanted to attend. I didn't attend, but I played their song on the radio. So it's the gift that keeps on giving. That's the other cool thing is with it being in a podcast, so like those guys in that band can share that link today, next week.
Yeah.
They can send it to Europe. They can send it here. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And I didn't say this. This was a cool little detail. my show's actually heard on all 7 continents. We're heard. I lost track of the count. I think we're in like 90 nations right now, but all 7 continents. I got Antarctica confirmed.
Nice.
Yeah, I was bitching about it one night, and then like somebody hit me up and like hooked me up with the Antarctica connection, and like confirmed, yes, this is actually true. I am listening, and this is where I am. Like, wow.
Nice.
So yeah.
Well, shout out to Antarctica.
So yeah. Shout
Keep
out
warm,
to
or don't melt everything.
don't.
But...
Yeah. I don't think it's the few folks that are down there. They're not the problem.
Yeah, true.
They're helping. They're helping. But yeah, it definitely does. The more listeners, that get it and share it. Like it does not have to be live when you share it. You can listen to when this is released on the 25th.
Absolutely. I hope that at some point in the future you become a big famous household name and people Google this video to check out what it was like before everything took off.
Why? See, okay. Well, see, now that tie back to like 17 questions ago, I kind of hope that SiriusXM has talent scouts.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, wait a minute. Oh, damn, I forgot to mention that too. See? I actually did a small stint. I was on Ozzy's Boneyard. For it was like 3 different days. It was the same episode, but 3 different days. I was the hell do they call Ultimate Center on Ozzy's Boneyard.
Okay.
So yeah, that happened. So a bunch of people heard. It wasn't Benzotti Live, so to speak. It was a version thereof. But I'm hoping that like Ozzy's Boneyard, maybe you could let me have 2 hours a week. I would love to be on something like satellite radio with Benzotti Live. That would be sweet and expand the audience there. I mean, man, they paid, what's his name? Howard Stern, like $10 million. I just heard Joe Rogan, $100 million. Yeah. I'm like, what? I will do it for a mere million. 1 lousy million, Call me. I'll do it for a lot less than 1 million. But, that would be cool. I should have said that, expand. That would be maybe an easier way to expand the listening audience.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I know people out there that listen to Sirius that would eat up Benzotti Live.
Mm-hmm.
They would eat it up.
I think Benzotti Live does a better job than Boneyard on most given nights.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I enjoy Boneyard. I enjoy
Boneyard.
Yeah, I do. The thing, and it's not just Boneyard, it's satellite itself. The thing that gets me is, oh, that's an awesome song. That's cool. But then 3 days later, I hear that same awesome song. I'm like, damn. Mm-hmm. And then like 2 days later, and that's because I don't listen to Sirius that often. But I bet, like, okay, here's a thing. Here's a thing. My wife has Sirius in her car, and my daughter and I like to burn wood out back in the fire pit. And we got the little Bluetooth thing or whatever. So one day we're sitting out there and we hook Sirius XM up, or I don't want to call them out by name, but hit satellite radio out, right?
Yeah.
And we're listening to like hard rock, and we're playing a little game. You bet, I bet. We'll see if we can guess what the next band is.
Mm-hmm.
We got 3 in a row. We're not that good.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the odds of that. Like, we should be if we're that good, we should go to Vegas.
Yeah.
I openly challenge anybody in the world to play that same game and successfully do that with Benzotti Live and get 3 in a row.
Mm-hmm.
That we're talking about, and it's not like huge mathematically it's just, I don't think anybody can do it.
I think it's the difference between a person who does this out of passion versus doing it for money, for the end result being the money.
Yeah.
So, but I want to thank you so much for being here today and
thank you.
Sharing your knowledge and your stories about all the stuff, all the things.
Man, this has been really fun.
This has been really fun. Yeah. I'm glad we could sit down here and talk for about an hour about all this cool stuff.
This is awesome. Yeah, it's like I said, it's so cool to be in this chair. Yeah, so thanks for the opportunity, and thanks for all your listeners, or thanks to all your listeners for listening in. And I'll get my guys to listen to you, and you get your guys to listen to me.
Absolutely,
we can share. And I don't mean guys and gals. He,
everybody,
she,
whatever.
they, man. Yeah, I'm 100% with all pronouns. You know, I have no compunction about anything. I'm like one of the most easiest people in the world to get along with as far as, life.
Right on.
So yeah, any person, please listen to both of us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Often.
Often indeed.
Hey, everybody, if you want to catch us live, we will be playing as members of the band Ralph on April 2nd at JB Love Drafts in Harrisburg, alongside Morbid Cross, Bastard Cross, and Electrocutioner. So if you're a fan of thrash, that's where you're going to want to be, again, on April 2nd at JB Love Drafts in Harrisburg.
Yeah, it's a free show, 21 and up with ID.
Can't beat that.
225 North 2nd Street, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, 11102. Presented by Are You Morbid Podcast. Now, if you're watching this video out there in the internet land, please give a thumbs up and subscribe to the button.
I think
way.
it's down,
somewhere?
right? Down button is right there.
Down?
Subscribe.
Yeah.
Subscribe. I don't know.
If you're listening to the audio podcast, please consider leaving a review because that helps us a lot on all the podcast platforms.
Yeah, you don't have to leave any comments, just the number of stars, which will be 5.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
it will be 5.
As Bomani Jones says, if you rate us 4 stars, I'm inclined to believe you are a hater.
Yes, I'm a 5-star man. It's brought to you by Medusa Head Media. You know what Medusa Head Media is?
I certainly do.
Right on.
It is our overarching umbrella company that covers everything that we do, audio, visual, and print media, I believe.
Right on, brother. You can contact us at medusaheadmedia@gmail.com.
Please do.
Lastly, this is recorded at Orion Studios in Baltimore, Maryland. Thank you to our guest,
Mr. Benzotti.
Mr. Dave Benzotti, Kyle, Kermit, and of course, you, the listeners, viewers,
And your boy over here.
and your boy. Take care.